How's your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And on this show, as I always say in the beginning, we're looking for how to give you the edge, how to help you to work smarter and not harder. And that's the key, right? We all think we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. So I'm excited today to have Victoria Gallagher with me. She's a worldwide leader in hypnotherapy, a best-selling author, international speaker, life success coach, and renowned authority on the law of attraction. She's dedicated her life to empowering people all over the world to successfully live a life of liberty aligned with their dreams through her effective meditative recordings and online courses. So without further ado, Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so nice to finally meet you, Penny. And it's a pleasure being on your Take Back Time show.
Thank you. Well, likewise, we were having a little conversation before the show, the law of attraction, right? Some people get it, some people don't get it. So I'm interested today to kind of unravel what that is in plain layman's terms and why it can help people to take back time.
Absolutely. So it really does go right with the title of the show, Taking Back Time, because when we divert our attention gets distracted all over the place with all different kinds of goals and obstacles and things that we're focusing on. Those things are taking us further away and causing us to take more time for us to achieve our goals, manifest success, if you will. And so law of attraction in real practical terms is all about getting yourself fully in alignment with your desire, with how you're thinking about your desire, how you're visualizing your desire, the emotions and feelings and vibration that you have about that desire, the action steps that you're taking toward that, really listening to your intuition about that, and really just having that gratitude for what you've already manifested. And in a way, in a nutshell, it's like just kind of taking responsibility for having what you want.
Right. As you were talking, I was thinking, I call myself a focusologist. And one of the core principles is that by becoming a focusologist, we're kind of controlling and directing what I call the energy of our thought, right? Our attention, our thoughts. And so in a way, it's just shifting our focus to align our goals with the tasks that we're doing and the things and making everything else less important. At its very simplest, could it also be kind of that?
It really is. And, it's prioritizing too, if you really think about it, because so many, especially entrepreneurs, we're all over the place. You want to write that book, you want to do your public speaking, you want to do
resemble that remark,
your course, all of those things. And it's almost impossible to multitask and do multiple things at the same time. I mean, it's actually a myth, multitasking.
But we still do it because it releases dopamine for us, right? So it
absolutely.
This like immediate hit where we're like, oh, this feels good. And not realizing that it just took us twice as long to do something. So it's not good.
Exactly. I mean, even, like the other day, I'm like, ooh, you know what? I think I've actually proven that wrong. I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm checking my phone. I'm multitasking, aren't I? Right?
That's right.
But you know what? Really not. I'm really switching focus back and forth. You can only focus on one thing at a time. And so the most efficient way to create what we want is to keep our attention on that one thing until. And I think the reason why a lot of people fail to manifest and get what they want is because they only have a set amount of time, a set amount of patience that they're willing to devote to having that thing. And if they don't get it by a certain period of time, then, it didn't work. The law of they failed. The law of attraction didn't work, whatever it was. And it's about focusing on what is super important to you. And if something is important enough to you, you will focus on it until you get it.
Yeah. Absolutely. We do give up a little too easily at times, right? So it is a discipline as well, for sure.
Yesterday, we talked on another podcast, and his podcast is all about discipline. So it's funny that came up.
Right. So I'm just curious, how did this become your area of expertise? Did you have like a moment, or like what happened that this became your focus?
So I had several moments. I had the first moment when I was 18 and my mom introduced me to this little book called Total Self-Confidence by Dr. Robert Anthony. And you can only imagine why she might have introduced me to a book such as Total Self-Confidence at the age of 18. Did not have a real easy childhood. And, this was a really helpful tool. And it was really my first introduction to the whole world of self-help and self-hypnosis. And he actually talked a lot about self-hypnosis and visualizing and affirmations and journaling and writing and all those things in that book. So it was really, really great when I was 18. But then I sort of got distracted from the whole self-help arena until about 10 years later when I was a fairly successful stockbroker, and I was working at a brokerage firm and been doing that for about 6 years, really successful at it, making a 6-figure income. But then I just found myself not able to get out of bed. And I was anxious, depressed, had all these issues. And I found myself seated at a personal development seminar, 4-day seminar, where they talked a lot about to think is to create and the power of the mind. And it was like 4 days of brainwashing, if you will, but brainwashing in a good sense.
Right.
We did a lot of closed eye techniques, and it was in that moment where I decided, you know what, this is my new life path. This is the direction that I want to go. And I just didn't know exactly what it would look like. And so I just kind of started writing these visualization scripts and trying to figure out, like, how do I get some sort of credentials? I stumbled upon a hypnotherapy course. Within a couple of weeks, I was seated in a class taking hypnotherapy. And before you know it, I was getting my business license and was asked to make a decision to either resign from my position as a stockbroker or continue on with my no-figure-a-year job as a hypnotherapist. And I went with the no-figure-a-year job as a hypnotherapist. And 22 years later, I have one of the number one websites where I sell these amazing hypnotherapy programs and my app, HypnoCloud, and written 4 books and all of that. So it was a good decision.
So talk about, right? I mean, so you talked about earlier when you described sort of the law of attraction, you said intuition, right? So all those things that you talked about, you went with that intuition, that gut feel of this is where I need to be. And things just started happening, right? You found yourself in a class, then this. So interesting, right? When we follow what feels like it makes sense to us, then things just unravel and find their way, right? To put that next stone down, even though you don't know where the path goes. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, right? When he starts to step onto this opening to make the crossing and he's making this leap of faith. And as he steps, each stone becomes visible. It sounds like that was kind of your path for some time.
It definitely was. And I hearkened in on when you said makes sense. I mean, what I was doing, quitting a 6-figure-a-year job and and going into a situation where all I was doing was like creating debt because I had a lease, I had all these bills, new bills with nothing really to pay them with. And except for my retirement savings, which I went through over a year and a half, none of that actually made sense on the logical level of mind. And most people were kind of like not on my rooting team. They wanted me to win, but they, like most people, they were kind of saying, yeah, maybe you need to think about getting a job or getting your job back, or maybe this isn't a good idea. But I hung in there the first 6 years and a half, had to file for bankruptcy, found myself in the hospital with a collapsed lung and no insurance.
Oh yeah. All of those two things. It's like an afterthought, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, I never would have thought I needed to keep my insurance plan. I was trying to save money.
Right. Right.
But
wow.
all of that stuff, I think, would have knocked most people back into employment. or something along those lines. And, it was just something I knew inside that I had to do, and I had to do it that way. And I'm really just so fortunate actually for the opportunity. I think most people they're not lucky enough to have a boss that was kind of a jerk. Enough of a jerk that should easily, right? To help me make that decision. And if I could go back and thank him for that, I would.
Right. Well, we never know, right, where things are going to take us. But, there might be some people out there that, hey, out there, don't go and quit your job yet, right? Let's think about this. But what would you say to people who feel like they're not on their path, or that there's something that they really want, but they're not sure how to get it? What would you say would be the first thing that makes sense for them to do? What's the next step?
If somebody wants to get on their path, you want to start the habit of meditating and journaling on a daily basis. Because what will happen when you go into a silent meditation, you are going into a listening mode. And then again, you're continuing that process through the journaling and, really writing down what ideas come to you. And when you notice patterns begin to arise, you'll start to actually see opportunities because you're focusing on having something new develop for you. So if you're just kind of like, you're not sure what it is that you want to do, those are two really, really great ways, I think, to help you just to get clear on what it is that you want to do. I mean, and hypnosis is just another avenue that can really open your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind has all the answers. It actually knows, down deep inside what it is that you want. I think we all sort of have a little bit of a divine plan that we can follow. We don't have to follow it, but if we do follow it, I think our life is going to be easier. And in a lot of ways, I think manifesting really comes down to following that divine plan and getting in touch with what that true, deep desire is that's within us all. There's a seed. I mean, you were born with that seed to do something amazing. And we all have gifts. We all have special gifts. And I think just even acknowledging that, that you do have gifts. You are creative. You are artistic. You do have an imagination that you can tap into. And everybody has access to that. So, hypnosis is just another wonderful way that you can explore and tap into and get answers from the imagination.
I want to jump in here, and just because some other people might be thinking like I was when I was younger, and I'm like, I don't know, for whatever reason I had in my head, or someone told me this, or I don't know, maybe I was comparing myself, but I felt like I'm not creative. I'm not the one to write a song. I did write some poems and some poetry, but for some reason, I just thought I wasn't creative, right? And as I got older, I realized that we all show creativity in such a different way. It doesn't mean you're not creative when you compare yourself to someone else. You're not creative in the way that they are. But I think it's so important that each one of us taps into our own. Stop comparing. It's okay to want something and to move into a direction. But I think in order to do that, we also have to appreciate ourselves, right? That's why you started with that book about self-confidence. I believe that that's how we do tap into our intuition and things like that. So I just want to put that out there for people who are listening, that we all have different ways that we can visualize or imagine things. And for some people, they can just close their eyes and walk into a new world. And other people might need to be brought through a guided meditation or whatever. So everybody's different, and that's awesome.
Absolutely. And just to dovetail on that competitiveness actually stifles creativity. And our creativity gets stifled from the time that we start going to school. I mean, we are born extremely creative and imaginative until, we go to school, and then, we're taught that we need to stay within the lines and stop daydreaming and everything.
Right. Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down.
Just constantly shutting it down. But your creativity may look entirely different. Look, I'm not the best artist in the world or the best painter, but, I sure as hell know how to write a good book or a good hypnosis script. And, that's where my creativity is. And there's thousands and thousands of different avenues a person can explore to be creative. You might be creative in the kitchen. You might be creative in the bedroom. You might be creative, with how to care for your children. I mean, there's so many different ways. It doesn't just look like art. And, like artistic is one way to be creative, but there's just many, many different ways, a person. You can be creative with the way that you order your coffee at Starbucks.
I believe that. Totally. So what else do you think is like an important lesson or tip that you can give the audience as it relates to and around the work that you're doing and setting that dream and achieving that dream?
Well, I think the biggest thing for people to understand and how I like to bridge the gap between, like with law of attraction and with hypnosis, my two main loves in this world. So, it really comes down to our minds, the power of using our minds properly. And we are far more than what we realize. We have so much, it's like you look out at the sea and you see the tip of the iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg is your conscious mind. And that's the part of the mind that everybody tries to do things. They try to lose weight. They try to quit smoking. They try to reduce their stress. They try to do manifest their dreams and their goals from this conscious state of mind. But we have, and it's fortunate and unfortunate, but it's very fortunate because it's the thing that runs the show. It's the thing that's keeping us alive. Our subconscious mind. And, in our subconscious mind, it's literally running our heartbeat and it's running our brains and it's running all the blood that runs through our veins and our breathing and our blinking and all of our everything. It's every emotion, every memory, every experience that you've ever had. And its main job is to keep you safe and to keep you secure and to keep you alive. And it takes that job so seriously that it actually keeps you from doing things that it perceives would be unsafe. What's unsafe? Pretty much anything that's different from what you're doing right now. Anything that is considered a change, because change represents stress. Even if you're doing something amazing, like buying a house or getting a new job or going on a date with somebody for the first time, that is represented as stress, and it really tries to keep you from that stress. So what we have to do is we have to ultimately, if we want to achieve any kind of goal in our life, anything, it really begins with that change begins at the subconscious level of mind. We've got to trick the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind, it does its job well, but it's also not smart. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So
it's like a little kid, right? I mean, I've been through a number of different courses and it was always described to me like that. Like a little kid,
it's a servant.
But very easily maybe tricked, right?
Exactly. And so tapping into that imagination and using anything to get that subconscious mind to have new pictures, new beliefs, new ideas, new thoughts running through that says, oh, this is the way life is. When you get the subconscious mind to buy into whatever it is that you want, it has no choice. It has to make that happen. But the key is to get through to that subconscious mind. And that's the hard part, is to change those deep programs that keep you from having what you want. So that would be my biggest tip, is stop trying to influence everything with your conscious mind, because your subconscious mind is going to sabotage you every time, and you've got to change the beliefs in the subconscious mind.
Okay. So, so as people are thinking, I don't know about this, so is there any science or way that they can prove to themselves that this works with just a little toe in the water type of thing?
Yes, absolutely. So your subconscious mind runs all of your emotions and all of your automatic responses. So even if you think about a lemon, for example, if you just put a lemon in your mind and you just imagine cutting that lemon in half, and you imagine taking that lemon and putting it up to your nose, and then putting it close to your mouth, right? And you're using the power of like some kind of visualization. You're experiencing this, you're imagining this in your mind. Now you take and you just like lick that lemon with your mind. Notice what is happening. Notice and so there's proof that you've just interacted. Why would your mouth salivate if you were controlling the process with your conscious mind? So that right there is just one way to show yourself that the subconscious mind is there. And it's, it's the same.
And it has the power over us, right? I mean, it's changing our body chemistry, right? To create that saliva, or when we get goosebumps when you're watching a scary movie, right? You're not in danger, but we are in the surroundings that has our senses being sucked in, and our unconscious is
exactly. You're sitting there watching a screen, and then all of a sudden you're like, at the scary parts, or you're crying at the sad parts.
Right.
And that's not logical. That's not coming from your conscious mind. You're not willing yourself to feel that way. It's coming naturally from the subconscious part of the mind.
And aren't there also, it's not exactly what you're talking about, but I think it's the same as they would have basketball players visualize doing a layup. And then they had one group that visualized doing the layup. And then they had the other group that actually practiced the layup every day. And after whatever it was, 30 days, they compared the progress of the two groups, and they were equally progressing.
Absolutely.
Right? Isn't that like sort of a scientific type of experiment that shows that visualization has that power that is the same as actually experiencing it?
Absolutely. There's another study that was done. This one just blows my mind is a study done on these 13 people in Japan. And it was a poison ivy study. And so they rubbed a harmless substance, and they told them that this was poison ivy on one of their arms. So they told all of them that this was poison ivy, 13 of these people, and it was a completely harmless substance. On the other arm, they rubbed the actual poison ivy, and they told them that that was the harmless substance. So they reversed it. All 13 people broke out on the arm where the harmless substance was rubbed. All 13 people. Only 2 broke out where the actual poison ivy was rubbed. Only 2. So really, it just kind of also just goes to show that what you expect to happen, because they expected to break out where they thought that they were rubbing poison ivy. They expected that, and they literally physically created this effect. And they do this all the time. I mean, people can, you can relax somebody and they can put a needle all the way through your arm. And I mean, people go into hypnosis, to have dental work done. I mean, all kinds of crazy things,
And then, of course, we know about the placebo effect, which has had thousands and thousands of studies that show that the sugar pill has the same impact as the actual medication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, there's just so much research into the power of suggestion and auto-suggestion and, telling yourself something is true. And it really just comes down to believing at that subconscious level of mind. And whatever the subconscious mind believes will happen, it'll make happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, as we're coming to the end of our show, I mean, I could sit here, we could chat about this. I love this kind of stuff. And I'm a firm believer that it matters, and it does help us take back our time, because it means that we're putting our focus and our energy where it matters, that's going to best support us. So, I think it's really important. What would be any last comments or tips or suggestions? What did I not ask you that you think that I should have asked you here?
I would just dovetail on what you said there about that this is definitely a way that you can save a lot of time. A lot of people, they spend years, not to, poo-poo like therapies or anything like that, talking therapy.
Yeah, no poo-poo on this show.
No. But the thing is that, hypnosis, it doesn't work like a magic pill. You do have to want things to happen. You do have to listen to the suggestions for a period of time, but it's a much more efficient way. You can spend years trying to talk yourself into a new habit or behavior. And every time you try to start a new habit at the beginning of the year and you end up 5 days later back in your old ways. This is why. And so this is a much more efficient, effective, time-saving way to get into and kind of hack your brain to do the things that you want and do them that much faster. So it is a shorter cut. Like I said, it's not a magic pill, that there's no such thing as any magic fairy dust, I don't believe. But, this is all very logical, common sense for the logical people out there. It really makes sense. It's a real step-by-step approach to doing things. It just is going to get the work done where the work is actually done in the part of your mind that actually makes those things happen. So that would be my last little tip there.
Okay, great. So where do people find out more about you and these recordings and the books that you've written and such?
The biggest and the best way to really access me is through my app, my HypnoCloud app. So if you go to the App Store and download HypnoCloud, which I'm sure you'll have a link to that somewhere on your show notes. If you download the HypnoCloud app, you're going to get on my mailing list, and you'll actually learn more about all of the things Victoria. In the HypnoCloud app, there's actually 12 free sessions, and that's going to give you a taste of hypnosis. There's mastering the law of attraction and reducing your stress. All those are free. I give a lot of content away for free in the app so that you can really try things out, learn about hypnosis, and decide whether you want to do the free trial and get access to all my entire library. And so I would suggest going there. You can also go to victoriamgallagher.com, and that's where you can find out about all my other great stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated being on your show, and thank you for listening, and thank you for asking great questions.
Well, and thank you all for being here, because really all of those great questions were for you trying to get in your head and think about, well, what would they be asking? And what are the challenges that you might be experiencing? So I hope that you were listening and that you took away the main core is that we have to stop trying to force behavior change and understand how our mind works so that we can work with it. And that's really what Victoria was saying today. And that's the first thing, right? Is being aware and then finding some of the techniques that are going to help you to utilize that so that you can get what you want in your life, whether it's better health, better relationships, a better job, more peace of mind, whatever it is, it's there for the taking. You just need to know some of those mindset shortcuts to help you get there. And Victoria's app is going to do that for you, give you a head start in understanding how to use it. And at the end of the day, find yourself some resources. That's what we're here for, is to help provide you with great resources. So again, thank you for being here. My name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.